Hello and welcome to another STEM class. It is not our usual day, but it is the best class of the month, in my opinion, technique time. And I'm just waiting for someone to pop on before I officially begin. So what's new with all of you? I have house guests and an extra dog here, so it's a little busy and crazy. So if you see some stuff going on in the back, you'll know what I see. There was one right there. That was Nick. Anyhow, they're all headed out to go get breakfast, but so that we can have some time here to have class. Hello, Barbara. Anybody else that's on, say hello. And now that I see we do have a couple people, that is my cue to say good Wednesday morning and welcome to the Backstage Pass. You know me, I'm Elizabeth, and today's class is Technique Time, Mediterranean Blooms. So we're taking a look at that sweet collection that is in the annual catalog, and it's gonna be fun. So Karen is on, Barbara is on, I'm not sure who the other is. We'll see how comments populate. You know, sometimes they come on and sometimes they don't. So far, either you haven't said anything or there just aren't any. I mean, or it's not working. So it's always kind of crazy what Facebook has in store for us. Okay, so enough of that chit chat. We've had our official beginning, and let's just flip the camera so we can get on with the show. Here comes the hand. I know it's your favorite part. But here we go. We'll flip the screen. All right. Now, I'm not quite understanding. I said this in the last one. Why Facebook has all of a sudden changed the camera here. Anyhow, I mean, everything's, anyhow, it just feels like I have to put my camera super low. Hold on. Hold. Sorry. Maybe we should just start this direction. Then we wouldn't have all this rigmarole, right? We'll move that back. And this. Okay, so we'll move this way. So we've got some weirdness. We're gonna have to figure out what's going on with Facebook, why I can't zoom in the way I used to. You know, does anybody know where that is? Okay, well, that's gonna have to do for today. Okay, a little better, but not much. Not much. Okay, scoot things over. No, we got to go this way. Here we go. All right. So this is really strange because now I'm having to do everything like way forward here. And I mean, my space is all the way back. So sorry. Let's just go like this. Okay. So, yeah, we're going to have an interesting day, I can tell right now. This is insane. Why do they have to keep changing things? Hello, Terry. And we've got like 20 minutes of technical difficulties here. So sorry. I think I'm just going to start in this direction so you don't have to see me do all this every time. Okay, we can begin. Today is technique time. But real fast, let me just give you a heads up of classes coming. Not next week, but the week after, we have Upstyle Your Paper Pumpkin. This is the Painted Petals kit. Holy moly, I don't know how much upstyling I'm going to do because it's so beautiful and perfect the way it is. But we will do some stuff for sure. So join me in the, not this page, but in the Seeing Spots, just the business page. And that will be there. In a couple weeks, on the 15th of August, Use It Up for that month is going to focus on the Wildly Flowering Sweet Collection. specifically the Wildflower Designs bundle and that paper and the embossing folder. So I'm going to be looking at taking a deep dive into that. I think you'll enjoy it. And then pick up for August is the Hearts and Hugs. Cute little set, so that will be pickup. And I am going to be using Unbounded Beauty. So I'll be using that paper to work this class. Let's see, what else do we have coming up? I don't have the stamp set and dies out with me. It's a hybrid bundle. It's called Changing Leaves. This is an online exclusive, and I've been working with it the last little bit here. Wow, does it stamp beautifully. And this will be our focus for Technique Time in August. So be looking for that. And then I just wanted to bring this to see what your guys' opinion is of the Sophisticated Sled stamp set and dies. I think this is, I've been eyeing it, and so I finally picked it up, and I'm thinking that we might do something with this. I'm just curious what your opinion is of that particular bundle. All right, here we go. Let's get on with the show here and dive right into our class. All right, so Gina has popped on. Gina, Terry, and Barbara, and I don't know who the other person is. I can't quite tell because it didn't show me. And it's not populating any comments. So I guess this will be a quiet class kind of day. But please feel free to make comments. That makes it a little bit more interactive. So for me, but anyhow, okay, so we don't need that. Let's just kind of take a look here at what's in our packet. I have my smalls bag as usual, and that's on top. But let's just take a look at what we need for our first card. So this first card, we're going to grab everything from the early espresso up. All right, that will be for the first card. And I'm going to take my cardstocks and papers and things and kind of set them to the side so that I can jump in and find the papers that I want for our first card here. We are going to want this one here. And let's see, not that one. Let me turn these over. I do want that one. And I'm going to show you the backs in just a second so you can be sure to have just the ones you need. Let's see. Okay. All right, so we need this one here. This is the navy with the white floral, and then the back side is the lemon. So we're going to be using this twice for this card. And then this one here, this is the only one really like this in this particular pack of papers. The back side is a tile, right? Okay, so there is that. And I think that is it on our DSP. Oh, nope, we need one more. This one here. So this is the other navy background with a small, I'm just calling it a small print. The back side is oranges. All right, so those are the three we are looking for right now. I'm going to set the others aside. And and then keep this handy. We'll be busting into that. Let's see, where to begin? Let's begin with our cutting of our papers here. And so we have those ready for and this is just crazy, you guys. Hold on, let me rearrange. Since Facebook is doing weird things with the videoing, I've got to figure out where to put my cutter where you can see it. Okay, so this is the first card we are doing. Hopefully you saw these. I did post these yesterday. So this is a belly band card, and then it has kind of an accordion fold up inside. So we need to die cut our pieces. So let's do this floral piece, then we'll do the navy piece because these are both the exact same size. So let's do those two first. And they're going to be, our first one is going to be 2.5 inches wide by 5 3/8. So all of these papers are going to be the same height. They're all going to be 5 3/8, but they're going to have a little bit different measurements on the width. These first two are going to be 2.5 inches wide. So let's take this one here, and we're going to go 2.5 by 5 3/8. Okay, now that all the noise left, that's nice. Okay, this piece here, now I want you to kind of be sure to check the backs just to make sure that we're not like having to work. This one's not, we don't need to worry about this one and having, having the pattern going the wrong way for something else later in the class. I'll let you know when we come to that. Okay, so there are my two that are 2.5 by 5 3/8. So you can see that's going to be for this front piece, and I was wrong. It's 2 1/4. Oh, I just measured it. And it's 2 1/4. You think I would know. All right, this is not good, folks. We're starting off with a mistake. But you know what? It will be okay. It will totally be okay. So if you haven't cut anything yet, it should be 2 1/4 by 5 3/8. Okay. So there are my first two pieces. And now we're going to do this piece. And this piece here is actually right here. I was going to say it's the back. The back, we're going to do the lemons. Okay. So this one is going to be narrower. This one, folks, and I'll hold it up so that you can see when I'm wrong. This one is going to be 1 7/8. Okay. So 1 7/8 will be our measurement for this one. I do want to check the lemons on this. Okay, so they actually do have a direction. So I want to be sure that they are running this way, and I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to do 1 7/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, that's that one. Now I'm going to flip the piece over, and you'll see my lemons are going the right direction. And this piece is going to be, this is the only one that's going to be this size. This one's going to be 2 5/8. All right. So we'll just double check my insanity right there. 2 5/8. Since I already had a goof, we can only have one goof per class. There's that. And so I'm saving all of my pieces of paper for later. We'll get back to those. And so this will be 5 3/8. All right, folks, that is all of the DSP cuts that we need for this card. Also for this card, in your packets, I've given you a piece. You're like, what kind of piece is that? So when you look at this piece as a 12 by 12, if you were to cut it just into 4 quarters, it would cut all of these up. It worked with the oranges, but it didn't work with the lemons. So I had to kind of go through and make sure that you each had a single lemon and a double lemon. So if you're working from a full pack of paper, find yourself a single and a double, and you're going to fussy cut those images out. And for time's sake, I've done mine ahead of time, okay? So you'll do that. And those are the pieces we're going to need for, whoops, got caught up on my trimmer there, for this card here. Now, let's just get started with some stamping and all that good stuff. So let's take a look. So with this piece of lemon lolly, we're going to be doing a little bit of die cutting. All right. These two, this will be for the belly band. This one will be for the inside of the card. This will also be for die cutting. So let's just kind of grab those die cutting pieces and set them aside. And then these white pieces here, these are for layering. They go on the inside. And then obviously here's our card base and here's our belly band. So the other thing we need for this before we kind of start to assemble is this little piece of yellow. So there's a small piece of Daffodil Delight in your smalls bag. We need that for this card here. All right, let's see what we're going to die cut. So here are my dies for this particular set of stamps and things. We'll get to some of these here in a minute. The first one I want to do is let's grab this big leaf. Look, I got a piece in there. So we're going to use that. So we're going to die cut that from this piece of white that you have. So we'll be die cutting that. And then we have these pieces here. And you don't need all three, but if you want to die cut all three, that way you have some options when you're putting your card together, which leaves you like better. I gave you enough paper for that. So cut those 3 leaves there. So far that can all go through in one fell swoop. And then you have these, in the dies, there are these little trios of flowers. Let's do both of those, okay? So those are the dies that we're going to need for this card. There's another leaf. So you can really kind of use whichever leaves you like. And if you can fit them all, great. I'm just going to use these 3 smaller ones. All right, so I'm going to put those through the die cutting machine here. I see Alicia has popped on. Good to see you here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Like I say, because these aren't like lined up around any stamped images, I can put this all through at one time and not have to worry about anything wiggling, or, you know, you just have to be more careful when you're doing a stamped image that things turn out okay. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to put these all back in my little metal container that has a magnet. Let go. Had a spot in there. I maybe should have run this one through twice. It's a little tight right in there, but that's going to be okay because it's going to get covered. Here's the leaves. Nice. Just pull these off. Here's my flowers. See if any straggling behind. And then we'll get these guys all poked out. Cute. I like these little flowers. They're a lot like, to me, they just kind of remind me of like gems, embellishments, rhinestones. I like it when we have them built right into our dies that we can kind of make whatever we want. Yeah, so I should have run this through. So when I put it on my thing, it was towards the middle, and I don't have as much pressure in the middle. So if you ever have those types of issues with your dies, sometimes running it through twice, we do that, right? The other thing is if you actually die cut it with the die face up, it seems to get a little tighter cut. But I'm not quite so worried about this because we're going to have a part of it covered, so it's okay. So let's just get all of our pieces. These are good pieces. And this is all trash, so I'll scoop those into my garbage bin. Because you have to clean them off. Because you know when you like have them there and then you run something over it, it gets, you know, it gets like an indentation or a scar. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is actually cut this right in half. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm elongating this die. So chop that in half. It doesn't really matter where, but just chop it in half. Okay, so these die pieces are ready. And let's begin assembling. Believe it or not, this card, it doesn't have a ton of stamping because we're using the beautiful Designer Series paper. So I have already started the folds for you. As you're looking at this with the shorter flap face up, we're going to take this first flap and fold back on it and give it a good burnish. Okay, and then this one here is going to fold inward. So we have that. and it actually goes this direction. All right, so there is what we have going on. So just to review, it was like this. Okay, so you're folding one back, and then you're folding this one inward. Okay, that one's going to go inward. It doesn't go inside. And then the whole thing rotates. So yeah, that was the way it was packed. That's the way it's going to go though. Okay, so let's actually work at adhering some of these pieces. The first piece we're going to adhere is this piece here. I really enjoy this piece. I like that, you know, we have such large images. It's nice to have this smaller one to bring them together and not have it be too over, you know, with such a bold pattern, it could be kind of a little, you know, too bold patterns is kind of crazy. But you can still have you can still mix patterns. You just need to kind of work on the, you know, how large your patterns are. Okay, so these are designed to have a pretty tight little fit here. No surprise there. And let's flip this over. And this other piece so we have two navy pieces, correct? So this one here, this one I'm going to call the small floral, and this is just the small print. The one with the small print is the back side of that piece right there, okay? All right. Just like so, easy peasy. These two are going to be white, but I'm not going to glue those in just yet. So this one here, this one on the end, so let's just kind of take these so that you get them. So there's our white, and then our blue. So let's do the leaf, not the leaf, the flower, the tiny little navy with the flower is going on the end here. Okay. It's always kind of nice to adhere all these pieces together so that we can kind of see how things are coming along and so that we don't lose pieces. So with this last piece of designer series paper, so it doesn't get lost, that one's going to go. So there's nothing here, but this one's going to set right inside this piece here. Okay. So far, so good, right? Just center that in there. And so there is the base and the designer series paper for this card. It's pretty pretty. All right, let's actually put our belly band. We're not going to put our belly band together, but let's at least design the focal portion of it. And then we'll build the inside, and then we'll attach the belly band. And the reason I do it in kind of a strange order like that is when you're working with the belly band, you need your card to be finished so you know how tight you want your belly band to be. Because if you make it too soon, which I often do, it ends up getting a little bit tight. And so we want it to fit, you know, properly, not too tight, not too loose. Okay, so to start, this piece of paper here, I'm going to use my yellow or, you know, a blending brush for yellows. And I'm using Lemon Lolly. And I'm inking up. And I'm just going to give a little bit of ink to this circle here, just to give it a little bit of color. But you saw that I just re-inked my brush. But I want to knock off any of the really harsh, I just don't want that. I want just a nice, even, light haze on here. And I think haze is kind of a good word. Just a little hint of yellow. I don't want strong marks like that. So I've just got this kind of haze of yellow. Move it closer to the center here. So there's my haze of yellow there. And then I'm going to take my And it doesn't matter if you use boho or misty or navy, but I'm going to take a boho blend here and I am just doing a very gentle splatter of blue. I mean, I think you can kind of see it, maybe, maybe not, but don't get carried away. I just didn't want to get too carried away. I'm even going to do just a little bit, and I know there's not really peach in this card, but there is a little bit of peach undertone in the fruit and in the florals. So that was Peach Pie Blend. And keep that ink pad and blending brush nearby. We're going to use it again in a second. Okay, so that's ready. Now let's do just a little bit of stamping. And I'm going to use Early Espresso. I guess I should have shown you my ink colors for this card, but they are Lemon Lolly and Early Espresso ink pads. Now I want the word hello. Cute little stamp from the set. And this is going to go, just going to rotate this. It's just going to come down here and be in the far lower right portion of the circle. You thought I was going to say corner, right? I caught myself before I did say corner. So there's that. And then for this, we're going to use the double lemons on this. But if you'll notice, these lemons are, and this is a little bit different. So there's the lemon that I cut out, but notice I have an extra leaf right here. Let me show you where you're going to find that leaf. When I put this to the inside of the card, I just felt that it was a little much. So I gave it a haircut of this leaf up here, and it was sitting on my desk. And when I was putting this together, I'm like, oh, that looks good in there. So that's how this leaf ended up as part of the front. So I'm just going to finish fussy cutting this out. Just right around the flower. We'll come up the stem here and just take that off. And now, for me, this is a little bit more proportion for the inside of the card. And then this looks a little funky, but let's just clean it up. There you have it. Another leaf that we can use. And so this leaf is actually going to come right into here, just like I did on my original. Okay, so we're going to put this on with dimensionals, being sure to place them such that they don't, because if you look at this one, we just want to make sure things aren't hanging off the edge. I'm going to go ahead and close. Well, I'm just going to set this aside. We still need those two pads for the inside of the card, but I just didn't want them to get anything on them. All right, for this class, I am using both full-size dimensionals and minis. So I'm going to do just a full there, and we'll do a full right in there, and then I'm going to switch to minis. Okay, and this can all get a little mini. And really, this top leaf is going to be, so if you're turning this over, you want one on the bottom part of the leaf. So that's going to be like right here. And I can get one here, and that's about it. Except for I can get one right about there. That edge is going to hang off a little. And then we'll give one in the middle, just for an extra little security. I wouldn't typically use that many, but this is just a piece of DSP. And so because it's DSP, I want it to have just a little bit, of extra support so it doesn't sag. Okay. Okay. So now I want to take the word hello and just kind of have that word hello coming straight across. And we're going to frame it with the lemons here. Whoops. Maybe come just a little farther up. Okay. Don't push anything down tight because you want to be able to lift underneath. And here are our leaves. I have 2 leaves on mine, but you decide how many you want to use. But I think I want to use this one. This one kind of bends off to the left. And so I'm going to tuck this one. It's going to go right under in there. So I'm going to give it just a little touch of glue on the back. Well, that was a lot of glue. Oh, well. We'll tuck that one right in there. And then I think I'm going to use this one here. No, maybe I'll use this one. It's a little bigger. And this one's going to go right under in that area right there. But I'm going to lift it up just a little bit, lift up my dimensional so that I can really get right where I want it and not collide. This is why I didn't push it down too tight. I know sometimes you think, why don't you just put your leaves on first? Well, because I don't know exactly where the leaf is going to go. It's kind of hard to tell the position. So there's that leaf. Okay, we're going to need just a little bit more fussy cutting here. What you're going to do is I've given you a few extra flowers on your paper here. Let's just cut one of those out. And you could have just stamped and die cut one. And I don't know if the die cuts fit these. They might. I haven't tried that. That would be interesting rather than fussy cutting. However, I am going to fussy cut because if it does work with the dies, it's going to leave an edge. And I don't want an edge, if you know what I mean. I want to be right up to it. Okay, so here's my little flower. So we needed 1 extra flower. Okay, and so my extra flower, I'm going to kind of curl the edges just as I normally would, is going to glue right in here. And so, and I say this often, but I'll do this because just as we're adding this extra leaf in here and adding an extra flower, it just, to me, fills it out, fills out the composition just a little bit. But at the same time, it also makes it mine. And people, you know, people go, oh, I want to make that card, but they can't figure out where the pieces are coming from. And it's not that you can't figure them out. It's that I've just kind of used the DSP and cut things up and customized things. So I strongly, you know, recommend that with your dies, with your paper. Oh, there's a die. There's a dimensional right there. I should have looked. See, I always put it on a little too soon. Put all those dies. Okay, this one's just going to tuck right under in there. And look how that just kind of softens that. It fills it out just a little bit so it's not quite so naked on that side. So that is the base, or the most, you know, the largest pieces to our belly band. Let's see here. We've got some flowers. And we're going to add these flowers. And so I'm going to do just a couple dots of glue right on the paper here. Maybe I'm going to do little dots of glue, maybe not. And you want them a little further away than you think because you need space for your little dies, right? Your little die cut flowers. So let's do our usual, giving this a little curl right in your hand. And we'll set that right on that. So that was one of the larger flowers. This is a smaller one. And man, this thing is just teeny tiny, itty bitty baby. That's why I have my take your pick tool out in case I need that. And so that one's going to go there. And then we're going to do another big. Save those. We're going to use them on the inside. And I'll curl this one. And this one I actually have attached right in here on the leaves, kind of right up by the lemon. Okay, now continuing on, let's give the lemon a little bit of shine. Same with the little flowers here. Just a little bit. And maybe even these. They're not quite dry. But you get the idea. Okay, get on there. Okay, cool. So we have this ready. That is ready for us to assemble in a minute once we have our other elements going. Let's just double check to make sure we don't have any dimensionals showing. We're good there. And now for the inside. So let's grab our inside pieces. We have a circle die. Well, it's not a circle die. I punched this with the 2 3/8 inch punch. But we have our 2 pieces of white. And let's just look at what we are going to do with them. We're going to do another hazy background on our big piece towards the top and a little bit of a hazy corner on the narrower piece. So let's do that now. I'm going to bring my scratch paper back in. And Lemon Lolly, I'm bringing that back around here. Actually, before I really ink up, I'm going to just kind of offload what's already on the brush. Because again, we're creating a haze, not a big, huge, crazy blended background. Okay, just a little bit. I don't even know if you can see it. It's just in the corner there. But again, keeping it pretty mellow. I don't want it to be like in your face. There's a whole bunch of, and then this, you kind of want to, you definitely want it to be bigger than your circle. So kind of eyeball where that is. So it's almost like you're doing the top 2/3 of the page here. Okay. And I recommend going in both directions and maybe even rotating your paper so that you start in other areas, because I can see where I'm a little heavier handed and a little bit darker. Notice I'm not really working the middle because it's not going to show. And maybe I'll just do a little bit more here. There we go. And yeah, you can see it. I can see it in the monitor here. So that is that. Stamp wise, we're going to stamp this bottom corner with "You're the best kind of person." And I'll stamp that again with the Early Espresso, bringing that color from the front to the inside. And I'm going to do it down here in the bottom corner. Nice. This is a beautiful font, you guys. The handwritten with the mix with the, just your font here. Your more classic font. Okay, so that's it on inks. We're good there. Let's do just a little bit more splattering. So I'm going to bring that same boho, and this is boho light. So you can use any of the colors. So just a little haze of that. It's not a haze, it's a little light splatter. I'm just not hitting it super hard because I don't want it to be too in your face. And I will repeat the peach just to bring that from the front to the inside. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm kind of going on a diagonal here. So I'm working from the top left to the bottom right because that's the direction of the decor for the inside. So, and then this corner, we'll just give it an extra little bit of the peach. Now, why do I do 2 colors when I'm splattering like this? I like the 2 colors because it creates just a little bit more visual depth. The darker ones have a tendency to recede. I see more levels of dimension there. So that's why I do it. Why do I do it with a bone folder? Because I was killing my blends doing it in the lids. So, I've had to replace, slowly but surely, I'm replacing my blends. So, it's like every order. Oh, replace the olive. I've replaced the olive, the pumpkin pie. My Daffodil Delight. Oh my goodness, you would laugh if you saw the tips. I mean, it's hard to get the lids on. So I'm really bummed. Either you guys aren't saying a word and you're bored to tears, or it's just not populating any comments again. Just letting you know, I do check at it. It just, they're not there. This really is a unique bundle and set of paper. It's just kind of fun to work with something so different than what I've seen. I mean, I love this mix of all the tile here. It has a very Italian Grecian feel to it. Okay, let's go to what's left of our die cuts here. So the leaves, remember, it was here, and we're going to cut it. We're going to rotate it a little bit. And then our circle punch is going to go here. So see, that's why I wasn't worried about that. And then our lemons go on top, and then we add our last 3 flowers. And that finishes the inside. So let's do this. Let's glue these down. And I am going to kind of bring my piece in here. So you want this to be such that it doesn't go over the edge, because you want the card to shut, right? And then this one kind of right up in there. Nice. This one's going on with dimensionals. Okay. So some of you may know I'm having computer issues. It died. I mean, how rude. You know, I only bought it in 2014. It's not working anymore, I'm sure. Anyhow, so I haven't been able to kind of get on and do some things I would normally do, but Stampin' Up! Had free shipping yesterday, and because they had such issues with things kind of going a little funky for them, there have been technical issues, they extended it to today. So free shipping on orders of $75 or more, which means you're also getting a $5 coupon back. And you can earn next month's kit. So I'm moving this over again, moving it over one more time, because I don't quite like how close it got to this side over here. Okay, there we go. Now it's moved where I like it. Let's give the same attention to the flowers and the lemon that we did on the front. Okay. Let's add our little yellow flowers. So we have 3 of them left, and we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to put little glue not glue dots, but little dots of liquid glue. Let me clarify. But I am going to do a little bit of that curl action, and we're going to go 1, and then I'll do a second one nearby, and then a faraway friend. I always kind of like to, so one's going to go there, and then this other one will come up in there. Okay? So let's add the little glue dot, little glue puddles, I should say. Teeny tiny. There's one. Sure, I get a big glob for the little guy and a tiny glob for the bigger flower. But I like to use my bone folder or a hobby blade to kind of guide those where I want them to be. Another big, I should get the precision glue out here. In just a second, it would have helped for these teeny tiny little flowers. Okay, there's that. And now we can, we're not quite ready to close the card up, because I want to point out a couple details. So our gems, we have 3 gems that are going to go on this blue panel here. So let's do those. And they're going to be in your smalls bag. So if you open up that, there's 4 of each color. There's 2 smalls and 2 larges. These are the Opal Rounds assortment. These are part of the Mediterranean Blooms Sweet Collection. They're kind of pretty. Okay, so I'm going to do a large one, and I'm just going to kind of plop it right inside. You know, I'm going very definitely using the pattern of the paper. And then this is a small. And so you can see I have a small right in line with it. Okay, and one more small. You could do small or large. And I'm going to kind of come up over here. So just kind of like we've done in the past. And this one up here kind of relates to what's going on here. And these will show from the front when the card is closed, which is kind of pretty. Okay, so yes, the card closes like so. And then we have a belly band that reaches around it. And we're just about ready to make that. So we'll close our card and let's bring our belly band around. Okay, now I've given you quite a bit of extra, but what we want to do is this card is 4 inches wide. By the time we have our belly band extending over the edge, it will be 4 1/4. So let's go ahead and take our card and our belly band rather, not the card. But I'm going to put my folded edge, this is the folded edge, so I'm open on this end, at 4 1/4, but I'm going to eke it out just a little bit further than 4 1/4. I'm going to kind of cheat it there. Okay, cut through both of them. That's what you get when you try doing 2 at a time and not pushing down hard enough. Okay, so I'm going to do this belly band a little different than I did on my original, because my original, it's not glued together. And it's because what I did is I fishtailed each end, and so there was nowhere to glue it. So I kind of like, that kind of doesn't work. So we're going with plan B here. That is to bring our belly band around. And then let's get our hole punch. So this is a small hole punch. And I don't want you to punch through the card, but I want you to put that right on the edge where the card is, if you know what I mean. So I'm not going through any of the card, just the 2 layers. Okay, if it's too hard to punch through, it's because you're getting the card. So now you have in your smalls bag, you have 2 pieces of linen thread, and you're going to want the longer of the 2 pieces. So let's see here. I do believe this is the longer one. It is. So with that longer one, you are going to, we're going to go through the back. My little hole punch, I've got a little hanging chad here. That, and I've got glue on my fingers. I'm batting 1,000. Okay, so we're going to go through, this is the back. Okay, so you're going through the back, and I also want you to go through the front. So that piece is going to come through the back up to the front, and then this piece is going to come around, and we'll tie it. Let me turn this the right direction so as not to confuse you too much. But this is what's going to hold this all shut. Okay, so let's see here. My bow is going to be right down here over the knot, so I'm just going to kind of slide things over there. Hold on, I've got stuff on my fingers that, I have glue on my fingers. I wonder why. Okay, eventually I'm going to wiggle that knot, my bow over to this edge. I'm going to kind of tighten back on that. Okay. Shrink this up a bit. Got a funny piece hanging on here on my linen thread. So I'm just going to cut that little thing off. Now we'll wiggle this over to the end, and I am going to shoot just a little bit of glue in there to hold this shut, because this is what my problem was with my other one. I couldn't hold it shut. I was trying to do something a little bit different, but it kind of worked, but it's too loose. So I've put my glue on that end. I'm just going to hold that for a second, just for that glue to set up. Okay, good. Oh, nope, it popped off. But now I'm going to wiggle my linen thread. Let's get this side. I'm going to tighten up that bow. Put that bow right over the knot. Trim your ends to how you like them. I'm going to even mine up. Okay, and now all we have left is to put the lemon on the front here. And come on, stay shut. Pinch it shut for a second. But I'm not going to put my dimensionals on the back of the circle. I'm going to put my dimensionals on the brown, on the early espresso here. So I'm going to do 1, 2, since it brought one up with it. And we'll do 3, 4. And then I can even put one on there to kind of anchor that linen thread. Okay. We'll peel these and stick the circle on, and then we will be assured that no dimensional will show. Got to hide those mechanics, right? And so this is just going to go right, and I'm centering this, and I'm centering it on the card, not necessarily on the belly band, okay? All right, too fun. All right, that one last gem, there were 4 of them, right? Is going to, so I have 1, 2, and then this one's going to play off of this one down here. So it's just a little higher. There's that other big. And the last thing, the very last thing that I'm going to do on this card, let me show you. It is, obviously I would give it, you know me, I like to splatter a little wink, but you don't have to. I'm going to use the Metallic Enamel Effects. So I'm going to put this, I'm just going to address the centers of these flowers. And I'll do the ones on the inside too, but I'm going to have to let them, I'll have to have the card open and let it dry. But so for now, I'm not going to do it. But I want you to practice on scratch paper first. And this is why we practice. So what I'm doing is I'm holding it straight up and trying to make just one dot. And I'm trying to see if I have kind of a, a little bit of a boogery. So I'm going to just do itty bitty, teeny tiny dots right in the centers of these flowers. And I know we've done some other stuff with this, but this is fun too. And then just kind of let it, and I know it might seem like it's got a little bit of a point to it, but as it dries, it will settle down into a nice little round pearl. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Maybe get a preview or a side view. See how it's a little puffy right now, but it will kind of level out just a little bit. It won't flatten out, but it will calm down just a little bit. So point that out. See there, I've got them in the centers of these flowers as well as the ones on the inside. So I'm going to let this dry. Don't want anybody to touch it. There you have it, folks. We have finished our first card, which I think is pretty. Pretty. That's what my boss used to say. Or he still says it. He's just not my boss anymore. I still call him boss, though, When you have someone as your boss for almost a quarter of a century. It just kind of stays that way, right? All right, so moving right along, that was card number 1. Card number 2. So let's grab all of our, here's my whole stack of pieces. So here's some of the DSP that we've been cutting. So I'm just going to move these to the side. So this next card, you're going to grab everything from Misty Moonlight on up. Misty Moonlight up. We have a lot of pieces on this one. Okay, so we have 2 card bases. We have a thick basic white and a Misty Moonlight. And so ultimately what's going to happen with this card is one is going to, they're going to kind of lock like that. So this will be a trifold, right? It's actually 2 folds, but it ends up being 3 wide. So the cool thing about this is that our white here ends up being our, the card back of this card base ends up being perfect for the inside of this. And it allows us to have that for writing on. Okay, so that's kind of the makeup of this card. Then we have 2 pieces. These are going to go back to back. You'll see that in a minute. And then you have a couple pieces of white here. It's because we have a lot of stamping to do on this. So, and we have some large images. I am using Stays On Saddle Brown. You could use pecan pie and then use blends if you want, but I'm going to do some quick, well, it's going to take me a second or two, but we're going to do some watercolor. We're not doing some intense watercoloring, but I just kind of liked the softness of these few colors in a watercolor format. So here is the single orange, and we're going to stamp that. It doesn't really, you have plenty of paper, so there's that. And then we're also going to stamp this large one. Okay, and so we will stamp the large one on the second piece of paper. Just tapping it around, trying to get the whole thing nice and juiced up. So let's do this towards the bottom here. Okay. And we'll use this space here. We need to stamp this one more time. Whoops, as I knock over everything. Okay. Hopefully I can fit this in here. I'm ST Rugglin, but I think that'll do it. Okay, so you might want to tip your oranges back just a little bit so that you can fit everything in there. And then, oops, don't put this away. What am I doing? We still totally need this. We're going to stamp the little flowers. So there are 2 sizes here. There's, they're very similar in size, but you're going to need at least 5 flowers. So, 1, 2, 3, and I would stamp them the same direction each time. That way it'll make it easier to cut them out with your dies. Okay, I'm stamping that one again because this one I got really, I don't know, I overpressed on the one side and I don't like the way it turned out. And let's do 1, 2. All right, so there are all of those. While we have the saddle brown out, let's do a little bit more stamping. We're going to stamp one of these with that same image we used on our first card. You're the best kind of person. Give that a quick clean. And this is going to go dead smack in the middle, or as close as you can get it there. And that was with the saddle brown. Now, I'm going to clean this right away because it is Stays On ink. So that's that one. Let's get these done as well. Just wanting to, you know, as quick as we can, get that permanent ink off of them. We do carry a StazOn cleaner, which I have, but I don't have it out here. And don't shut that. There's one more piece for this. We are going to use, in fact, pull everything out of your smalls bag. This is all for this card. Okay, so this piece here, we're going to stamp this with the greeting that says, just checking in. How have things been? What's new? Just checking in. And we'll put that right in the center. Cool. Cool. Same thing. Let's get this one cleaned before we get too carried away. Oh, brother. Sorry, folks. There's people walking in the back. Remind me never to buy a house where there's like a walking path behind, because then your dogs just go crazy all the time. I need a drink here. Sorry for just a second. Thank you. Okay, so we have our stamping done. Let's do some watercoloring. Oh, shoot, Queen. I have my water painter here, but I have no water. That's not going to work. So if you know me, I like to use just water instead of using the water painter itself. I use the top, but I don't really use the water in the water painter. So I am just getting, I have my faucet right here. So I just have some water in a little glass here and my water painter. Now I am using the small. So on our water painter, there's 3 of them that come. There's a wide, then there's a medium and a small. I'm using the small. I'm also using a rag. I usually have this on my lap when I am doing any watercoloring sorts of things. So let me bring in the scratchy paper. Let's just kind of, that's still wet from earlier. Okay, let's bring in these oranges and let's start there. Okay, my colors for coloring this card are going to be Granny Apple Green, Peach Pie, and Balmy Blue. And so with each of these, I'm going to give a good squeeze, or you could use your blocks and grab ink on your block, or you can pounce directly on your glass mat. Sometimes I can squeeze these and sometimes I can't. Okay, there's that. Speaking of I can't, I still can't see any messages. Bummer days. Okay, so basically our coloring here, the leaves are Granny Apple, the oranges are going to be Peach Pie, and the flowers are going to be Balmy Blue. So, getting that ready, I'm going to start with the oranges, just because it seems more logical. And so I'm getting my palette here pretty wet. And I'm just going to swing this color around and give it a nice light haze of Peach Pie. Get it just a little bit more wet. And maybe hit a little bit more of the ink and intensify it out on the edges here. And that's it. Fast. Sometimes it's almost, to me, faster than, say, a Stampin' Blends. Now, I will say, I did a card using watercolor paper, and that one, for some reason, same image, but on watercolor paper, took me a long time because I was like, I guess in my mind, I wanted to really work the colors, you know. Okay, there's that orange. And so it was, you know, like I say, I was like adding more layer of color and getting some cool effects, but I thought, oh, holy moly, just this image took me like 15 minutes when I did it on the watercolor paper. knowing that this is just basic white, I can't overwork it. So if you overwork it, your paper will pill. So that's it on those. Let's come get this guy. I probably should have had one of these done ahead of time. Oh well, if you're stamping in real time, you'll see about how long it's going to take. Again, just kind of beefing up that side. So there are those. Let's grab this orange. Get this one done. Okay. Coming around the corner here. And let me just point out, these marks right in here are kind of dark like this because my paper, my brush wasn't quite wet enough through there. And so that's where you want to have just a little bit more, you know, when it's too dry, that's how you get those types of, those kind of harsher lines. All right, let's jump back over to this one. We'll start with our greenery. So I'm switching to Granny Apple. Swoosh out my brush. Get this going. And we'll do just a quick, I mean, this is where you're gonna want the small aqua painter here. The bigger one, you just can't get into these details. And so I'm gonna offload just a little bit of paint here and water. Okay. And I'm doing one leaf at a time, obviously, but I'm trying to not go into the others because even though it's the same color, you might be a little heavier handed with the ink at that moment. And so I just kind of want to differentiate from one leaf to the next. So I've added a little bit more color on the one side. Look how I really bled right there. Too much water, but that's okay. So now I'm going to switch to the other side so that I'm not doing two leaves kind of back to back. Okay. Let the water move and do its job in this. So just coming in here and getting this leaf. Now we'll do this one. Oh, same deal. I wasn't really very wet on this leaf, and so we're going to have a harsher line right there, but that's okay. Make it work. Words of Tim Gunn, right? Oops. Ooh, I way went out of the lines. That's okay. Totally okay. It gets die cut. There's that. Come around and get this guy. This side needs a way more water. This leaf, rather, not side. See if I can blend that out just a little bit. It's a little harsh right there, but that's okay. Hopefully it'll dry and still be beautiful. Okay, this one. This one. And this one. So you can see I'm not really doing huge watercolor, you know, coming in and doing nice layers, and really I'm just kind of allowing the water to move the color, the ink around. And I can come back in once they're dry and give it just a little bit more detailing with a little bit more layers of watercolor and ink, really. But I'm going to do it once it dries, because you need the layers of paint, of ink, of water, whatever you want to call it. You need them to dry, because if you just try to add more, it just, you know, it kind of defeats the purpose. But I am going to do very I'm just touching, I don't know if you can see this, I'm just touching the ink and not so much the water. And just coming in here on these stems, just to kind of define these a little bit. If you go into the flower, don't worry. If you go into the orange, don't worry. Just let it kind of carry the color. Okay, moving right along. Hit that other orange on the other paper. You do just a little bit more on that. Okay, here we go. A little more water here. Brush this around. We'll do this one. Ooh, that one's going to be light. I kind of like it. So, what summer plans have you guys got going? I'm headed out after class to the other side of Idaho for graduation. We're going to hit the sand dunes, lava hot springs, and possibly the Napoleon Dynamite Festival. So Napoleon Dynamite, not that I'm a huge fan, but it was filmed in a town in eastern Idaho called Preston, Idaho. And it is 20 years old. The movie is 20 years old this weekend. And they are having a Napoleon Dynamite Festival. So, we shall see. Okay, there's that. I want to just get these little stems in here. And down in here. I kind of like when the water blends right here on the stem into the orange because it just kind of, it looks natural. Just kind of the way Mother Nature would do it. Okay, that is it on the granny apple and the peach. And I might come in here and do just a little bit more peach pie. Let me show you what I mean. Now that, well, that one's not very dry, but like this one's pretty dry. These are pretty dry. But just come in and grab a little bit of your peach pie and then just kind of paint in just a little bit more where they have these little dots. Okay. We're just, and that's that extra layer of paint that I was saying. Just blend it in a little bit. Just gives it just a hint more dimension. Okay. Easy. Easy, easy. And for time's sake, and I'm running out of ink and I don't feel like squishing the lid again. How's that for lazy? Okay, but those look good. They look good. Let's switch to the blue. And so for the blue, we're just going to do just quick little, you know, quick little brush of color here. And I also want to have my granny apple nearby. Let me show you why. Is I'm going to do just a little bit of granny apple in the center of these flowers. And it just kind of, it just kind of, you know, you paint them how you want, but it's kind of a fun look. But I'm going to tap that dry just a little bit so I can add just a little bit more blue here. And you're going to want to do it while it's wet so that it carries it out. So I'm tapping it in the center, but it carries it out the flower just a little bit. It's a subtle touch, but it's kind of pretty. So we'll do just a quick layer of color in each of these. I'm not performing heart surgery here. These aren't like any major works of art, but you kind of get the idea. And I guess I should slow down just a little bit in that it's getting kind of sloppy, but that's okay. You get the idea. Okay, this one's better and more in control. Okay, still can't see any comments, kind of a bummer. Okay, put that green dot in there and let it carry the color out. Back to the blue. Here we go, back to blue. You know, sometimes you look at things and you're like, oh, this is a mess. What am I doing? And then you kind of work on something else and you come back to it and you're like, hey, that looks pretty good. What did I do? Do you guys ever do that? Give it a second to dry and you're like, oh yeah, I kind of like it. And that's exactly what we're going to do is give this, we're going to work on the other part of the card and give this time to dry before we come through and die cut all of this. The nice thing is they're pretty easy die cuts because it's, you know, one big image on the double orange here. Okay, let me carry a little bit of green into this. And we'll set this one aside to dry. Let's work on this one here. So we've got a bunch of flowers here. And I'm going a little speedy. So I might, but it's just for time's sake. I should probably have had these done ahead of time. I didn't even think about it. Remember, this one we're not going to use because I don't like the way it's stamped. Okay, a little green inside there. Green in that one. Let's get these. And we're about to move on to the construction of the card. Okay, so there's my flowers. This one needs just a hint more blue. It's a little pale. And we'll give some green to the center of this one, that one. Okay, so there you have it. Real kind of quick. I'd say it was watercolor was the medium for how we colored the images, but it wasn't like a true study in watercolor technique. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so that was just the way we were coloring in, it's a fun way. And I should show you, I have a card here where I did do some blends, and I'll show you at the end the harshness between the blends versus the watercolor, which is why I ultimately went with the watercoloring. Okay, so now for our card base, we are going to use 2 of the dies. For the card base here, we're going to use 1, but we are going to use a couple of the other dies in just a second here. So with your thick white, open up your card base. And let's tape this or Post-it note it. I want you to eyeball center. Okay, eyeball center and then give it a little bit of a secure. Keep it in place and we're going to die cut this. Now, I mentioned in our first pass on when we were die cutting the other leaf piece that I probably should have gone back and forth. I am going to go back and forth on this just to really be sure that all of those leaves are cut out and that I don't have any hanging pieces that are too tight. So there's one direction and the next. And before I take the tape off the die, I like to turn it over and make sure that everything looks to be cut all the way through. And it looked good. Okay. How cool is that? Jen Millette, she actually, I didn't see it at first, and she pointed out the greatness in these dies right here. What I didn't see that she pointed out to me, gosh, it's in this one spot all the time. Right there, just doesn't like to let go. Okay, she pointed out that this die here that I didn't even see, and usually I'm pretty good at seeing these things. This die fits in this one. So you can either use this as just a big giant label, or you can do it as a frame. And I went, oh, and to me, that's kind of, that's one of those, what I call a money detail. It's like, oh, that's worth the money. I love it. So I'm just working on poking out all this extra stuff. Okay. I think I would have benefited from running through this, for running through the machine with it right side up instead of face down. Because I have this one spot, and it's not the die. I think it's more, you know, just the machine. Okay, anyhow, we're getting this all out of here pretty quick in real time. So look at that. Let's just sweep this to the side. But look at that frame on the front of our card. I think it's pretty pretty. Okay, I've got a little piece hanging in right there. Let me just clip that out. Okay, I don't know why I'm clipping it out. It's not going to show. But there you go. I need to do something here, folks. I've got glue that's catching on stuff. Oh, there go the dogs. Gotta go bark. Okay, so here's our first card base. This is the thick white. Okay, so that's going to be that one. And then our Misty Moonlight is going to go on the outside when we actually put these pieces together. Okay, so let's work on the Misty Moonlight here. The first thing that I want to do to make this, and let me point out what's going to happen here if we don't trim anything away. So if you have your card base and we put this one in, see how we have a hint of blue. Can you see that? I mean, you can see it, but it's sticking out. So I want to remove that. And to do that, all I'm going to do, real easy, on one of the edges, just remember which edge it is, we're just going to take a hairline off. So I'm just taking pretty much the width of the track here, the one side. Put that to the edge there, which is about a 1/16. We're just going to cut that much off. And that will, so if you've noticed, that's what I cut off, but I'm rotating it. And we'll slide it inside. And when we get our other paper on, this is going to fill this in. And when I say other paper, what I mean is we're going to grab our designer series papers here. And so this one, this big, huge tile print, the back side is oranges. We're going to use this one here, making sure that is the one we're using. Yes. Okay. So we're going to trim this, and it doesn't really matter, but which direction you go. It needs to be 5.5 inches by 6. So we have already got it at 6, right? So there's our 5.5 by, well, it's not quite 6 here. So I'm going to take a little slice off the side. All right, now with it in the 6 inches going across, we're going to score it at 1 3/4. So 1 3/4. Okay, and we'll fold this back. And so I'll just kind of show you how this is going to go together here. Okay, so now that's going to fill on that side. And This piece goes here, here. And so when we glue this, the card will open like so and like so. Okay, but we're not quite ready to glue anything just yet because I want to do some stamping in here. So I'm going to stamp with Misty Moonlight, or you could stamp with Night of Navy. It's up to you, but I'm going to stamp with Misty Moonlight, and I'm going to stamp the single orange image. That's the one we're looking for. And let's make sure we're stamping on the right one. So this is the side that is just a little bit narrower. In fact, I'm going to bring my paper in here so that I kind of know where I need to stamp this. And so I'm going to lift this up and kind of place hold my finger where that lands. And I want to kind of do this, and it can come off the page, but I want that stem to be inside of the paper. So it's coming out like so. In my original, I have it rotated, and I'm like, nope, it should be the other way, but I had already stamped it, so I couldn't go back. But when you make a second one, you can. So there's that. And let's do some work to this with Whisper White. I'm going to squeeze my Whisper White ink pad. This is the old one. And where is that brush? So with your water painter, you're going to grab some paint or some ink here and just do a few little splatters of white. Okay, and I'm just concentrating them over the orange there. That's it. That's all you're going to do. That was easy. Let's do the same thing this time, though, with the Night of Navy. Give it a squeeze. And just knocking on the side of my water painter to get those splatters. Again, I like those, the two colors, just for that added bit of dimension and visual interest. And so I can close up this ink pad now. Night of Navy, we can get that one out of the way. But I do want to take, and we're going to set this one out of the way for just a second. Let's go to our white here, and let's go back to Misty Moonlight, and we'll go back to our orange image. Here it is, here it is. I'm going to ink it with it on its back. Oops, got quite a bit of ink there. And I'm going to stamp this in the upper corner here. Just like so. Whoops, I should have done that on scratch paper. Sorry, folks. Hey, Libby, it's okay. All right, that is that one. Yep, people are coming in, and so the dogs are excited. Now let's do a little splattering on this one. Let's go back to our Night of Navy. Okay, just a little. We're not going to do a ton. Most of it seems to be landing on the page opposite. Now I'm going to use a little bit of my peach pie to do the same thing. Sorry, people have come home, and Livy loves to announce that there's people here. Okay, a little bit of peach pie, and I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to let this dry because I need to do some, we're going to do some peach pie haze in here, and I don't want anything to, I want those splatters to be dry before I do a little bit of that hazing. Okay, let's work on this piece. So, as typical, if you want to create a pocket, grab yourself any old circle punch. This is the one that's just on my cart that rolls around with me. So, I'm taking a bite out of that. Okay, so you can see it's on that shorter side there. And now, let's glue. We're going to glue this to the front here. And I'm sizing it up. I think we're good. Yeah, we're good. Just looking to see if I needed to trim this piece at all. So when you're putting your glue on this one, let's just put it, we'll glue the pocket down in a second step. How's that? Okay. Okay. So this goes on. Just got glue all over me. We're going to go this direction here, folks. I know it seems a little fumbly, but that's what we have going. Okay. I think this is a cool pattern. And this is kind of, to me, a smart way to use this pattern. And then we're going to cover it with the oranges because it's really like, it's a very strong, bold pattern. Before I glue this pocket down, I'm actually going to do just a little bit of coloring. I'm going to use my Wink of Stella just to color the flowers. So there's that one. There's these down here. And this one. Okay. And out they go. Bark at more people. I'm telling you. You know, it's quiet all day long, and then it just gets crazy. So now what I'm doing on these leftovers, this piece here that we haven't glued down yet, I'm just putting glue to the top and the bottom. That way, we're creating that pocket. Oh, look, when I punched out, my stem shows. That's okay. By the time you tuck something in there, it'll all be good. All right, I believe this is dry. It's interesting how the splatters, like the wetter they are, they don't hold their round shape, but that's okay. Hold on just a second. Hey. Sorry. More people coming over. It's a party here, man. So I had to go wave them down. Talk outside. Which means now the dogs have to bark too. You know, you all should just come over. Everybody should just come over and hang out. Wouldn't it be nice if we could all just hang out together? Okay, so that is our card base for all of this. Okay, so there you have it. Let's do a little hazing. And this is a good hazing, right? So with a blending brush for peach pie, I'm going to load this up with some ink, bring in my scratch paper, and kind of knock the strong stuff off. And I'm going to do just kind of the same thing we just did. Oh my goodness. I can see a couple comments here. It says, yes, on stage in North Carolina. I'm on my way. Oh yes, Terry, come on over. Okay, so there's a little bit of that orange for that one. You have two of these labels, right? And we're going to talk about these labels. I'm going to do a little bit of this orange haze in the label that's not stamped. Okay, a little bit of orange haze there, not much, just a skosh. That is it for that. Now we can start doing a little bit of die cutting and a little bit of assembly. The first thing I want to do, this is going to end up going on top here, but to create just a little bit more interest on this, we're going to do some embossing using a die cut. And this is a cool technique, folks. So for this, let's use this die here, and I'm going to punch that little piece out. You like the way I just bang it and make it pop out? We're going to use that. And let me grab all my plates here. You're gonna take off and just have plate 1 and plate 2. Take plate 3 away. Plate 3 goes away. Then you're going to put your silicone mat down, and then your paper. Then your die is gonna go face down on top of whatever you're not die cutting, but embossing. Now, I happen to know that I need just a little extra shim on this. So you might need 1 piece of paper, you might need 2, but let's try it with just 1. And hopefully we'll get a nice little impression there. Now, it's not gonna be like your embossing folders. It's a little bit more subtle, but again, you can get it a little stronger if you add more of a shim. So let's see here, uncover all of this. Look at that. Like magic, it didn't come through. And that side's kind of cool as well. So all you need, let's just review it, and maybe you even want to take a screenshot of it, is we'll go like this. We'll do it in kind of layers here. And then you need number 4. So you want 1, hopefully this gets in the screenshot here. So you have 1, 2, silicone, paper, die, number 4. Somebody even take that screenshot for myself and we'll post it. Picture, cool. All right, thanks for helping me out there, folks. All right, so let's see here. Clean some of this stuff away. Now we have a bunch of die cutting we need to do. And hopefully all of our pieces are dry enough to do that. I'm still gonna kill just a little bit more time to let those dry just a couple minutes longer as we do a little bit of assembly on the front part of our card here. Whoops, die has fallen down. I'm gonna shut this for now, and we'll shut this. What we're gonna do is this is going to go on one side, and then we're going to back this, just because I didn't quite like that, with this one here. Oh, I got ink on my card. Man, I was doing so well. And I think it's been there a little while. Shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Oh, well, at least it's not on the front. So here's what I did, folks. I'm going to put one on the back. I'm going to kind of hold it where I want it. And then I'm going to bring this one that we've stamped to the front. And I'm going to put some glue on here. And we'll be able to wiggle this around because we've not glued down right here yet, right? But I'm just kind of sandwiching those pieces. And I know I'm not centered just yet. But we're just kind of bridging this across the front here. And we'll rotate this just a skosh. Now, once I have that, and I've sandwiched the two, right? Now I can come back in here and squirt a little glue to get that side down. And let's do the same thing on the back. I'll squirt a little glue to hold that side. And same thing here. Now you'll notice I haven't done the top left just yet. And that's because I'm gonna be tucking a little twine under there. So we'll get that. But just giving that a press. That. Now this card, this helps kind of cover our mechanics, but it also lends to a little bit more stability on this front that is a little bit on the, it's a little on the fragile side. Okay, to finish this, let's put some dimensionals there. And I'm just going to do 3. Okay. Easy. And now we are to the point where we've got just die cutting to do so that we can add these elements to our card. So let me bring in and share with you. These are still kind of wet, but I think we'll be okay. So we have this large piece here, and this is going to cut our triple oranges out. And just kind of wiggle this in place. Get that right where you want it. And then a piece of tape coming across. Oh, so Nicole says Raleigh is on our way to Hilton Head, and we go right there when on stage will happen. So you'll be able to attend. Oh, that's cool. I'm so glad. I love things when that, yeah, that is nice when it just kind of all aligns and it's just perfect. Okay, so obviously I can't do that one because it's too close. So I'll have to do that in the second pass. But here's the die for the single orange. Yeah, so we're already making plans, folks. Let's do it. Party in Raleigh. Be there. So there's that one. And then there are some dies in here for the little flowers. There's 3 of them. Now you kind of have to figure out which way they go. And that's why I said stamp all your flowers the same way, because once you figure it out, then you're kind of in the money. So I happen to know, I look at this die and there's an extra little bumpy right there. And I know it goes there. So I've kind of learned, you get to know your dies once you play with them for just a bit. So there's that guy. And there's 2 of these small ones, so we can get these done at the same time. So wiggle those around. Okay, there's that one. And then on a second pass, we'll get that orange, and then we'll get the larger flowers. We're going to have to do those. I'm sorry, folks, I should have had them done ahead, because then it does make it go a little faster. Although then this ends up being in real time. In your smalls bag, you have twine and a piece of peach pie in color glimmer paper. Cummer, that's glimmer and color in one. So we're going to use the small little flower dies. And we're going to actually, we have 2 of them here. So we're going to go 1, 2, I mean, really pack it in there so that you can get another one in, a third one. Okay, so let's load this all up, run this through the machine, get our pieces, and then we'll do a second pass. And then we'll quickly do a third just to get that last flower. Okay, so that's magic plate and then a number 3. So my magic plate is in place of a clear number 3. I lost one here. And I'm losing it again. We'll do it later. You know, sometimes it just doesn't work. You have to let it go. Okay, bringing all the stuff over here. Okay, so here's our big orange. Okay, there's that. Okay, so I'm not quite dry, and so you'll just want to make sure you're a little bit more dry, just so that your paper doesn't, like it peeled up just a little bit. Not bad, but just be warned if you're using like Post-it notes or even Post-it tape, it has a tendency, if it's not dry completely, to peel up a little bit. Okay, here's my flowers. Look how cool those are. Okay, so we're done with this guy. No, we're not done with that guy. We got another one to do. But we're done with these littles. Okay, moving right along. Let's get this one on. you know, Nicole, I've been to Hilton Head. It's been a little while, but I like it out there. It's kind of fun. I mean, what's not to like? It's a beach, right? Okay. Trying to line up my dies here. I'm all fumbly. Trying to, nope, that's not it. Here, I'm going to rotate it one more time. You know, you're like, it's kind of it, but it's kind of not. And then you get it in just the right spot, and you're like, that's the spot. So we'll cut that one out. And let's get this one. I'm going to give my paper just a quick, that way it's not quite so large and in my way, and I can get this piece going through. I did. So you are right, Nicole. I did with the Fun in the Sun paper pumpkin kit. It was we did the Florida coast, the Georgia coast, and then South Carolina. And so, yes, I did. Hilton Head at that time. And just hung out. It was fun. I mean, you know, we didn't do, no crazy tours or anything, but just hung out for the day. And it was cool. Okay, here we go. Running this through. That was right before COVID. This stupid thing moved again. I don't want to have to tape. Okay, here we go. Okay. Getting close, getting close. We have some of our, okay, so I just have 2 more to do here, folks. The easy ones. 1 more of these. I should have done, because see the smaller flower, there are 2 dies on the small flower and 1 on the large. But I actually like the larger flower better. So here goes this last one. Okay, and then this one here, we'll get 1 more of these, and we will have what we need. Okay, last pass. You know where else I like over in that direction, Nicole, is Charleston. That is a fun little town, let me tell you. It was pouring rain. I mean, just buckets and buckets of rain. Oh, I did a terrible cut job there. It's because I was racing. Don't die cut like me. Do it right. So you've gone for 24 years. I wouldn't say we did 24 years to Capistrano, but a lot. Probably a good, maybe 15, maybe even more than that. Yeah, Hilton Head's a little further away for us. But that's fun. Do you go to the same place each time, Nicole? I mean, do you have a place there, or what do you do? Where do you go? Okay, so now let's assemble. Not too tricky on this. I told you I didn't glue this down for a reason, and that's because that's where I'm going to put my linen thread. This is actually Baker's Twine, and this is from the Baker's Twine combo pack. It's the Balmy Blue. That pack comes with Flirty Flamingo, Lemon Lolly, and Balmy Blue. So we're using the Balmy Blue here, and I'm going to trim the ends because I gave you way more than what you needed, just so you can tie it easy. And so this is just going to slip right inside there. It's just kind of, and so that's why I didn't glue it shut, because I knew I needed to reach that in there. And so you can squirt a little glue in there. You can shove a glue dot in there, whatever you like to do. I'm just going to shove a glue dot in there. Maybe. Just kind of put it right, and hopefully we can catch that. No. Okay, there we go. 'Tis done, 'tis done. Yeah. You stay on the same beach, but maybe not necessarily the same condo or place. All right, let's bring in the original so we can see what we've got going here and place all of our items. So let's see here. Our flowers, we have the large and the small. So let me just kind of count them out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm doing the white painted flowers first. And let's start with a small. And I'm going to give them just a little bit of a curl with my fingers. Let me get my precision glue going here. Hopefully this is going to work and it's not clogged. Okay, got it working. So I'm going to do just a squirt of glue right there to add that guy. And then with a larger flower, curl up the edges. And we'll glue it on this leaf. Cracks me up. People know that there's a class going on, yet slam through, come through. It's like, okay, there's 2. Now let's do a large. Again, I'm just giving a quick curl with my fingers. We'll do one there, and let's get this one ready. That. Definitely, there's a lot of action here today in the house. Okay, so, and then we have one over here to this side, and it's going to be right in here. Okay, just kind of reaching up onto that edge. And now with the littles, and I'm just going to put a couple in my hand at a time. And I am going to curl these with the bone folder. But you like that? 3 at a time? So I'm going to do one here. And I'm just copying my other one, or trying to. So here goes a large, or the larger size, I should say. It's not large. Here goes the itty bitty teeny thing. And then we have one here. Oh, I love these in the glimmer paper. Okay. And let's see, we have one more, but we're not going to put it on just yet because it's actually going to stick to an orange. So you can see I have one more right there, but if you open it up, there's actually 2 more in there. So we'll do these on the inside. So I'm just going to kind of give these a little press. So I'll make sure things are sticking. But that's the placement of those. Then we're going to open up. And we have some oranges going on in here. So let's see. I have the one that I cut really bad. I am going to do a really quick trim on this. We'll just kind of go like this. And we'll do just a little bit on that. And I even taped it, you guys. It means I taped it wrong to begin with. And the rest isn't, I mean, it's going to show a little bit. That's okay. Call it art. So I've got this one. It's going to come in here. That's the single. And then we have our triple is going to come right in something like that. So there's the original. Okay, let's put some dimensionals on this. We'll load it with some minis on the outer edges here. Just getting all over. And let's see, I put one where I probably shouldn't have. Right there. Yep, I shouldn't have put one there, because it's going to cantilever over. Okay, that should be good for now. Let's start with this, then we'll slip the other one underneath. So just curious if anybody else has a traditional place that they go to. So Nicole goes to Hilton Head, which is super cool. Okay, so look and see how these oranges on top of this wild print just pop. They look great. So this one's just going to sneak under there like that. Yeah, we haven't done Capistrano for a while. And the bummer thing is that beach has completely, it's changed so much. They've put in jetties and different things, and so it's changed the current and the waves, and it's kind of crazy. But it's still, I love going to Southern California beaches. More so than Northern California beaches. Okay, so there are my oranges on this page. And of course, everything, I don't know if you can see the shimmer, but same thing, the flowers have that little extra added shimmer. I am going to add just a squirt of glue right here to help that one stay down. And then let's close the card, and we'll put next time I'm going to shut them outside so we don't hear them at all. You think I would learn. I'm going to shut the card. Give this a little quick curl. Just curious, do you guys do the same thing with your little flowers? But I want this to kind of play off of these. And so I'm going to kind of come right in there and layer this there. Marcia says you cruise around the Caribbean in January to get out of cold Michigan. So cruise as in cruise line, or I'm thinking you have a yacht? If so, cruise line, what cruise line do you like to use? And what are your favorite islands? Yes, I've done Panama. So I've done a little cruising through there, but not a ton. Okay, so I've got a couple smalls down over in here that we're going to use. Just curl these in my hand, and we pull the original here. You can see I've got a couple on this orange down here. So I'm going to do one on the leaf, and we'll do one kind of in the center here. Okay, yeah, so I'm curious, Marcia, where you like to go. I like cruises, but I hate having to go all the way to Florida. You know, it's kind of a bummer to go that far. All right, folks, that is the front and second card front right there. We just need to finish up right here, and we're almost done. We are going to layer this piece on and then add these 3 flowers, and that is it. And this is a pretty card. It's pretty pretty. So I'm going to keep that open because I like the angle of that one, so I want to imitate that. Have any of you guys, well, I'm thinking Marcia probably has, but have any of you guys done the Panama Canal? That was fascinating. I would like to do that again. Especially since we went through the old locks. We could see the new locks, and they were operational. They just weren't open yet. And that was back in, what year was that? I don't know, maybe it was either 17 or 18. It was 17, January of 17. So Marsha's right. Yeah, you go there to get out of, California is not too cold because that's where we were living at the time. But yeah, you go there at that time. So haven't done the oranges on the other page yet, but definitely get a little bit of that Wink of Stella action going where you like it. Don't forget. There's that. And then there's just a few more of these little flowers. So we have, again, I'm going to put all three in my hand at one time here. Maybe, if I can pick them up. Cruise line, Royal Caribbean, British Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands. You usually leave from Puerto Rico. Interesting. Haven't done the Panama Canal or Alaska. Yeah, we did Alaska a year ago. The only thing I would change, we went the end of May, beginning of June, is I would do end of June, beginning of July. Because then we would see we were too early for the salmon to go upstream. And it's those salmon going upstream that brings out the bears. And so, yeah, I would delay just a little bit, but thoroughly enjoyed it. Okay, so I'm doing these 3 flowers on this one. So I've not even thought of going out from another, say, like you said, Puerto Rico. How is that? I mean, you must like it because you've done it multiple times, it sounds like. Okay, so there are my flowers. I'm not doing anything to the insides of these flowers. Mediterranean, that would be awesome. I mean, that would be super fun. I would love to do that, but getting over there is just like, so far. Especially since we're already, we're on the western side of the United States, so it just takes that much longer to get over there. Okay, I want to point something out on this card, and let me point something out to you. I didn't use them in this class, but I did use them in another card. These are the champagne iridescent dots, and they're big, but if you look down in here, there are some tiny ones, and there are some teeny, teeny, tiny ones that you can put on the insides of these flowers if you have these, or on the insides of these flowers, I used the copper color in the enamel effects here. And I just did it with the paper ones. Yeah, you are closer. Mediterranean, that to me, I would love to do a Mediterranean cruise. Yeah, it's just a matter of getting there. Okay, so this is I keep wanting to say champagne. This is the copper. So I'm just going to drop some dots in these. Okay. Hopefully those little peaks go down. They should. They have in the past. Oh, crap. All right. Surgery time. Oh, it looks good. Now I just need to do another little dot on here. Cleaned it up. Much more better. Have you guys invested in this stuff? I love it. So Stampin' Up! Used it in their Creativity Now. And I had it, but had never even opened it. And I'm like, what was I waiting for? So there's some little pearl dots inside of those flowers. This one I'm going to set aside to dry. But there you have our card number 2. Okay. Once it kind of, it's interesting. Things, kind of, when I make a second one, I'm like, how come it's not laying as nice? It's because this one's had time to kind of train and relax, that sort of thing. There's that. And we have finished. And look, I got ink on it. Oh, well, it looks like a splatter. That was card number 2, folks. So I hope you liked that one. Let me set this one over here because it needs to dry. And I agree that there may be a lot of people at Raleigh, Marcia. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Yeah, grab those enamel effects. I think they're $15, which isn't bad. Not bad at all. Okay, this last card, let me show it to you. I really, really love this card. This, I totally cased the layout, not the card, but the layout from Kim McGillis. I'm like, oh, I like that. And, you know, found ways to incorporate some of the pieces from the Sweet collection in that. So here's the card front, and then here is the inside. And I really, on this one, I went, well, that's different. Mixing Old Olive and Basic Beige together are really kind of cool. So let's get this one going. This one doesn't take too long. Let's get back to our pieces here, though. So we have all of our papers. We're going to flip this one over. And you're going to grab your triple oranges. You should have one. Everybody has a quadrant in there. And if it's cut off, no need to worry. You'll see mine's cut off, but you'll see how I'm going to remedy that. This card, Marcia, this card, yeah, this one I used, oh, and I took my embossing folder away. That's okay. I will use the die to emboss. So, I think you might be talking about this one. I'm not quite sure. But, okay, so here we go. We're going to die cut our oranges here. So we have this piece. And see, mine's going to miss a leaf. But you saw how we remedied that on the very first card. We'll just cut one off of another and layer it right inside. Okay, so there's that. Let's run this one through quickly, because that's going to be the focal piece for our card here. Now, you could use just white paper and stamp yourself the oranges again, but I wanted to show the declamation on this card, because, I mean, come on, that's so cool looking right there. They've done all the hard work, right? And now I'm just going to find a leaf. And if I don't find a full leaf on this paper to finish that one off, I can also go to some of my other papers and look for those. Let's see which one. I know, the piece that, this piece here. So on some of them you have some extra pieces. So you might find one there. Or you just kind of have to look around and go, okay, well, which one do I want to use? Maybe I'll use that one right there, because that's pretty whole. So I'm just going to leave a little bit of an edge as if it were one of the die cuts. Okay, just kind of coming up the sides. Okay, just like that. Get my other pieces out of here, out of the way. And so when I'm putting this together, maybe this one I'm just going to take right off. And then this one here will just take its place. Just going to come right in there like so. And you hardly even know it. But I am going to trim some of that away. You just take some of this color, this white edge off, so that it looks like it's one continuous piece. Yeah, that should do it. And if not, we'll just trim a little bit more off. Yeah, see? That looks good. You can't even tell. So it's a way to use the edges and the edge pieces rather than going, oh man, I don't have enough of them, or, you know, use them up. You can totally make them work for you. So that's ready to go. Now let's look at our pieces of paper here and what we need to die cut. So we're gonna die cut these two pieces here. So these are all the pieces left over. And you have this piece as well. And you're probably wondering, what is the Very Vanilla for? Well, the Very Vanilla is to do one more of these. And so I just gave you a whole piece, but we're just gonna cut one of those, and I'll show you why in just a second. And then we're also pull all the pieces here, all the dies come up at one time. We need the big label, and we need these leaves. So we have that one. And I'm just gathering. Do all of them. That way you can decide which leaf you want to use. There's 4 of them, so we'll just die cut all of those. So this here, you're going, wait, it doesn't fit the whole label. Well, we're not going to use the whole label, but I want you to cut as much of it as you can, okay? So let's do that first. I'm just going to do that in one rather than try to lay other things on it. Okay, here we go. Okay, there's that. And now we can do this other. We'll do it all at one time. There's this. Yeah, just throw these on there. Oh man, somebody put the dogs outside and leave them outside. There's a chorus of dogs barking right now outside. Hey, Libby, they're barking. Okay, that is it. Okay. I'll just sweep all that off. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, now this is for this. So, I mean, this card here, I wanted it raised up, but it was a little, rather than, I mean, you could put it on just like this, but rather than putting it on and having it, you know, this is just to give it some reinforcements, right? So yes, I see we have to cut a leaf off, but we'll cut off as much as we need to in a second here. So let's just glue these two together. And like I say, it's just as a lining, just to give it a little extra support. And why does the glue just come like pouring out? So I'm just gonna spread it around. Way too much glue. It's like it doesn't come out, and then all of a sudden tons of it comes out. Okay, here we go. So that's why I gave you that extra piece of paper, was to reinforce this puppy. And now let's slip in our extra leaf. It's actually going to come like that. Yeah, it's a slightly different shape, but that's totally okay. No one's going to be the wiser. And then we'll just trim that little extra bit away. Now, you might be lucky enough that you have a whole one and you don't need to do any extra gluing of a leaf, but that way there's, you know, we have more uses. You know, we can use more of them up, if you know what I mean, Vern. Okay. Cool. Just like that. It looks great. And it looks dimensional. You can't even tell. All right, let's put this together. So let me slide my pieces out of the way. Let's kind of look at our pieces. This is a half sheet of basic beige, and it's obviously a top fold, so it's 4 1/4 by 11. And then you have a quarter sheet. This is going to be for the inside of the card. So let's set this one aside. And then it's this narrow piece that's going to come to the left side of our card. This piece here is going to tuck underneath. And then we need this piece of Designer Series paper. That one's going to layer underneath. So let's cut this piece. This piece needs to be 1 1/2 by 5 1/2. We want it the full length of the card. So we'll glue that one in place. So let's start with this. And just run it right up the right side of your card base. And this one's going to go in there, but not just yet. We'll kind of lay it there, right? Then this one here, we're going to, and I forgot to bring my eyelet embossing folder, but not to worry because we have the things out that we can use the die. This one here, we'll use this on the bottom portion, which is what I did, just the bottom portion of the eyelet. So use the eyelet or use this piece here. So I'm going to do this just like I did earlier. Let me show you the sandwich one more time. So we have plate 1, plate 2, silicone mat, or silicone craft sheet. I think that's what they actually call it. And then we have our paper. And then the die is face down. And I'm going to put another piece of paper on top or 2. And then this is plate number 4. So that's the sandwich again. See you later, Terry. Have a good one. Awesome. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So this will be on this side. And let's see, we have a couple pieces of Designer Series paper that we need. So this piece here and this piece. This piece is going to run across the white. And so this is going to be 3 1/4 inches wide by 1 inch. So 3 1/4 by 1. And that goes right there. Okay. Now we'll kind of lay some things in here. There's oranges, leaves. We need our greeting. Okay, so you have a strip of paper here. Now you can see I gave you way more than what we're going to use. But you know, I did that because sometimes you just, if it's not quite as straight as you want it, you can kind of trim things off. I know it's different with photopolymer, but with red rubber that you can't see, I just gave you some extra, just in case. So on the one end, I'm gonna stamp all the love in Old Olive. So Old Olive. So we'll just put this on the end. And notice I've kind of stamped it down a little bit because I'm going to make this a little bit narrower. I want it to be about 3/4 of an inch wide. But again, I just didn't know if I would end up stamping straight or not. And I'm a little high, so I'm doing just a little bit more than 3/4, but not much. And then I'm going to do it at about 3 3/4 inches wide again. So it's almost the same as our blue, but we're gonna offset it a little bit here. Okay, keep that Old Olive nearby. But before we finish this, I'm going to take a snip in, eyeballing center, and then from corner to the top. Oops, I went too far. Oh, I went a lot too far. Holy moly. There's my flag. I think I may have to redo that. It's really, really, oh well. I don't know, can you see? I overcut big time. It's okay. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. Before we glue this one on, we're going to splatter this. And you could use navy or boho, whatever you like, or misty. But I am going to use 2 colors, and I am going to splatter knock it. Ooh, this Night of Navy is juicy. And here's some peach pie. Good, that's it. Now we can put the front together. And I'm going to do it. Let's see, what did I do here? Okay, so here the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of eyeball where this is going to go. It's going to go kind of like that. But I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to trim some of this off because I don't want it to show out the bottom. So I'm definitely on a little bit of an angle like that. And we'll use some dimensionals here. Let me use the edges. I'm going to use my dimensionals not only as dimensionals, but to also hold my 2 pieces together. Can you say, I don't think it's lazy. I just think it's kind of, you know, getting it done. Put one there. Oh, the peach truck. That sounds nice. We have a place nearby right now, and it's a home out on kind of the highway, and you pull it, they have it as set up as you drive in on one side and then you pull out the other. So you make a loop on their property, and at the end of the loop you buy corn and peaches, and they have it all right there, and they just ask you how many you want. And let me tell you, it's good corn. Really good. I've not bought their peaches though, but that sounds yummy. Okay, so this side is up on dimensionals, as you can see. Now my blue is going to glue because we've got enough dimension going there. And I'm going to go right across and just kind of bridge that right there. And then this piece is going to dimensional. Okay, and this one sticks out over the end just a little, just like so. This piece comes down in here, and you're going to kind of touch into that just a little bit. And I put this on with dimensionals, so this is definitely, it's a puffy card. So let me just get a bunch of these ready to go. Use these up here. And I'm going to not put everything down super tight just yet because I have my leaves in here. So you can see I've got 1, 2, 3. So I just kind of want to get these going. Let's see which ones. Where's my double leaf? That's yellow. We don't want that. Oh, I've lost the double. I know I cut it. Oh well. This one I used, there's a little double, but oh well, we'll use this one. So this one's going to kind of tuck right in there. And then this one is gonna come out here. Whoops. And then this last one, just kind of right in there like so, okay? So let's get that down. I think we should be good, not running into dimensionals. I think I could have moved that a little higher, but that's okay. We'll go with it. We'll tuck this in. And this one, I like how this one comes down over. Okay, then this is our last one, and a little linen thread and some gems. Ah, I like it. And then to me, what really brings this to life and finishes it are these 3 gems. I just really like the strength of the color that it provides and lends to the front. So these are the navy gems that are the opal assortment rounds. So here goes a large. We're gonna send it up here. And a small. And then I'm gonna do another small down in here. And then you have one last piece of linen thread. So you have some extras there that you can incorporate into something, whatever you want. But let's do some linen thread here. Tie this one. And then I'll put a glue dot on this and we'll slip it underneath the stem of the oranges. Right in here. Actually, it's more under the flower. I think I lost my glue dot. It's rolled around. You get the idea, right? Okay, let's try this one more time. Get in there. There we go. Okay, it's a very lopsided bow for right now. For time's sake, style it and make it look pretty, like this one. And I do have some Wink of Stella on this, but let's take a quick look and finish the inside. It's not tricky, but let's get her done here. Get some things out of the way. So with that piece of white, you're going to use your Old Olive, and we're going to use Basic Beige. And I want you to try these 2 colors together. They're very similar, so you're not going to totally tell that, you know, it's going to be kind of, you're going to think, oh, they're the same, but they're not. They're kind of cool together. So I'm just cleaning the single orange image, and I'm going to stamp with Old Olive. And each time I stamp, I'm going to kind of change the angle of the image. So there's some orange. Oh, it looks like I used the double, but that's okay. Use whatever. Maybe come in not as steep. Maybe get a whole bunch down in there. Whatever. Not exactly the same, but that's okay. Then with Basic Beige, this is your texture background image that's in the set. And I'm just going to kind of keep this parallel to the edge of the paper and just fill in some images there. And then for the front, I don't typically do this because the front I stamped with Old Olive, but the inside I'm going to switch to Misty Moonlight on the greeting. And I'm going to stamp the best kind of person. And I think for this one, because I'm indented right there, so I could go there or there. Just going to kind of, just like that. And let's add a strip of DSP. Could even do that one since it's already cut out in the right size. But this is what I used on the original. And so this is just a 1/2 inch by 4 1/4. So just, it's like 3/8. 3/8 by 4 1/4. And it glues across the bottom. Simple, simple. Okay, and then that glues to the inside of your card. And we'll glue this on and be done. And just like that, we finished this one as well. Now I can see I've done a light splatter on here. So with the same colors that I used on the front, just to soften that stark white, that was navy light, and here is light peach. Just a teeny bit. And I'll hold one open and one shut. There you have it. We did it. We got through them, folks. Some pretty cards for today. The two that I did that have wet metallic on them, metallic and enamel metallic effects. I won't bring those back in because they're still drying. But there it is. So here are the 3 we did today. Hopefully you enjoy those, and I'd love to see what you're making. Maybe you're making a card completely, maybe you're taking this layout and using all different stamps. I'd love to see it. It'd be fun. Thanks for joining me. We'll be back in 2 weeks for upstyling our paper pumpkin. See you then. Bye-bye.